Good morning, everyone. This is Julie McDonald with Microcom Technologies, and I'd like to thank all of you for attending today's webinar with Cambium Networks. Today's host is Bruce Collins. He is their Director of Product Management, and he'll be presenting today. If anyone has any questions, please submit them in the question box, and Bruce will answer them at the end of today's presentation. Bruce, thank you so much for being with us today. Appreciate it. I am finished for now. You can go ahead and take it on over.
All right, great. Thanks, Julie, and thanks everybody for joining today, and appreciate the opportunity for Microcom to speak to you all today. I'm going to go through a number of updates on EPP, which is one of our product lines within the Cambium Networks portfolio. I've got some updates on the most recent software release. Make sure that you're aware of all of the different hardware options that we've released over the last few months. And then, as Julie mentioned, we'll have plenty of time for questions at the end. One of the things in fact, we were just chatting about was the demand for broadband access has gone up. And this chart you see in the lower right is from one of our customers. Actually, this is a customer in Italy, and they saw the impact of the pandemic a little bit earlier than the rest of the world. But you can see that dramatic increase. This is kind of there's no quantitative values on this, but you can see the demand for their connection to the internet almost doubled within days of people traveling to work from home rather than from their office. So we see a strong demand for increasing capacity, and along with that, how do I get more efficiency out of the network that I already have with EPP? So we're seeing a lot of demand for this, and I'll cover a few of those items as we go. So I like to always start when we're talking about EPP with what really differentiates the product amongst not only within Cambium's portfolio, but across some of the other competing products that are out there. EPP, the latest generation, you can see on the right there a picture of the EPP 3000 access point. This is based on 802.11ac Wave 2 technology, but then we layer on top of that the EPP protocol, which allows it to scale up, and we'll talk a bit about that. But what the Wave 2 of 11ac brings is 4x4 MU-MIMO in an affordable package. It brings wider channels and higher modulation. So we really get a jump in capacity and performance by going to Wave 2. And a lot of the other products out there from our competition are using Wave 1, which do not provide the MU-MIMO benefit. MU-MIMO, of course, gives you the ability to talk to 2 subscribers at the same time in a 4x4 scenario, and thereby doubling the capacity of the network. We also, with EPP, bring along the scalability and interference tolerance. So again, as you're looking to expand a network, the benefits are I can put more subscribers on a single tower on a single channel by increasing the scalability. And that comes from a few features, the uplink beam steering capability, dynamic filtering, which is some built-in hardware filtering, and then sort of a hallmark of all of Cambium's point-to-multipoint products is the ability to synchronize access points so that multiple access points on the same tower do not self-interfere. Investment protection, I've got another slide on this that I'll mention, but it's important to note that customers who have deployed previous generations of EPP, whether Gen 1 or Gen 2 or now Gen 3, are able to, through backwards compatibility and forward compatibility, bring along their investment and interoperate between different generation access points and subscriber modules. So it really is an elegant way to migrate into the future. And we see that happening as we look to the next generation EPP as well. And then as far as TCO, total cost of ownership, we offer a 3-year hardware warranty on all options, both hardware or both access points and subscriber modules. And we offer support direct from the channel, people like Microcom, as well as directly from us through our forum and our technical support availability. So I included in here in the deck a couple of the other benefits really of the platform. I mentioned these on the previous slide, but this gets a little more technical detail. Scalability, we see oftentimes customers looking to expand not only the number of subscribers, but the packages and the speed offerings, say moving from a 25 megabit per second to a 50 megabit per second or even 100 megabit per second performance. I'll show you an example of that in a moment. The air fairness allows you to maximize the capacity in an overall sector, so you don't have a single weak SM that's far away from the tower taking up more than its fair share of time. And then I talked about some of the interference benefits. And then what ties a lot of this together is CN Maestro, which is our cloud-based or on-premise based network management solution that provides you a single pane of glass so you can see not only the point to multipoint, but also the backhaul and see things like troubleshooting for performance, fault management, configuration management. Driving a little deeper into the technical details, what the EPMP 3000 brings over some other competitors and some of the you may recognize in the marketplace, but one of the key benefits is that with Wave 2, we get MU-MIMO, which I mentioned, which is doubling the capacity. You can kind of see an image there in the lower right. Also get higher modulations, support for that 80 megahertz channel. But the other things that are a little more technical detail are with the 4x4 sector antenna, you get an additional 3 dB of beamforming even when you're not doing MU-MIMO. So you get some benefit just by having the additional columns of antennas in the array. When you do have MU-MIMO traffic, you're going to see a jump in, theoretically it's 100% improvement. In practical terms, it's a 40 to 70% gain, just depending on where the SMs are located relative to each other and how much capacity they're requesting from the network. But real world scenarios, we see a 40 to 70% gain with MU-MIMO. Even in the uplink direction, because of the 4x4 sector antenna, you get an additional gain as well. So you get some improved link budget and perhaps modulation increase in the uplink direction. And then with the filtering, we talked about that as well. And all the while maintaining the compatibility with the Force 180s, Force 190s, Force 200s that you might already have in the network, as well as elevated SMs, which are products from companies like MikroTik, Ubiquity, LegalWave that can be elevated to interoperate with EPMP. And some of the longer term benefits of going with EPMP is, again, this compatibility, migration from Gen 1 to Gen 2 to Gen 3, our support, and the 3-year warranty. Here's kind of a pictorial view of that interoperability. And I think the thing I'll mention most importantly is as we go into the future, this becomes even more important. So if you look on the lower left, we started out with the Gen 1, which is the EPMP 1000. That did 200 megabits per second, and it did synchronization. So really great performance in mitigating self-interference. Then we introduced the EPMP 2000, also about 200 megabits per second, but now it introduced that beam forming in the uplink direction and started to reduce the amount of interference from outside sources. Then about a year ago, we introduced the EPMP 3000, which is our 4x4 MU-MIMO platform. Does over a gigabit per second and also brings along all of those things that we had in Gen 1 and Gen 2 and provides that compatibility back to any SMs that you had already deployed can interoperate with the 3000. Now going into the future, we will introduce, when the time is right, from both a cost and performance trade-off benefit with products that you might see referred to in the market as Wi-Fi 6, Y6, or 802.11ax. This will bring new benefits like higher order MU-MIMO, some higher spectral efficiency. But what's important for this conversation is that it also brings backwards compatibility, that we're committed to building the EPMP, call it 4000 or next generation EPMP, such that it will interoperate with 11N and 11AC subscriber modules. So whether you've deployed Force 180 190-200 or our Force 300 products, they will interoperate with that next gen. So you're really protected investment-wise as you move forward, and our competition just cannot claim that with a combination of 11AC Wave 1 with LTU and some other more proprietary schemes. This is something that really differentiates EPMP. Give you an example. I mentioned LTU. That's a product from Ubiquity Networks, and they recently started shipping this LTU product. And I wanted to kind of show field results from one of our customers who did a side-by-side comparison between the EPMP 3000 and LTU, just because they wanted to see how it would behave. So they set this up the exact same location on the AP, the exact same location on 4SMs, and to look at the relative performance of the two technologies. So I won't go through the details in all these numbers, but I'll draw your attention to the second row, which is the second table, which is 4 subscriber modules in a moderate interference environment. In that case, you'll see a 20 to 40% increase in capacity of the EPMP 3000 over LTU. And then as you go to a high interference environment with the third table, you see an even higher increase in performance and capacity with 229% or 753%, especially in that uplink direction. So it's important to note combination of things here. The capacity of EPMP 3000 really, it kind of enjoys having more subscriber modules to talk to. So the more SMs you throw at it, MU-MIMO gives you that benefit of being able to spread that load and talk to multiple SMs at the same time. And then I think it's also important to note that you get that compatibility with E3K, whereas LTU is a brand new technology, does not allow any migration. So if you're deploying currently Ubiquity Network 11AC products, you have to do a complete forklift upgrade to the LTU platform. So that's kind of the background on EPMP and how we kind of position it. I want to talk about some of the new hardware modules that have come online recently. We get a lot of requests from customers now about how to expand their network as they want to add more customers, they want to add higher service plans, and they have different subscriber densities. And we've offered and introduced a number of different new products that support kind of a menu of options here. So when you have an EPMP network deployed and you're looking to expand it, there's some questions you might ask. What's the density of the subscribers? What service plans do I want to offer? Is this a tower that I just want to light up because I want to introduce service into a new geographic area? And then maybe later on, I see the density will grow. So I want to sort of do a land grab into a new area, and then at a low cost. And then as my marketing and everything else picks up and I start to add more subscribers, I can expand. What's the noise floor? Is there competition already there that I want to be concerned about? And then, of course, synchronization that goes kind of side by side with that noise floor discussion. And then, do I really need to cover full 360 degrees, or am I trying to light up a subdivision or a smaller community that I can hit everything within say a 60 or 90 degree azimuth from the top of a water tower, for example? Maybe I don't need a full 360 coverage, and I can consider some horn antennas. So in the bottom there table, you can see as reference point, we do offer a number of different approaches to this. We have our EPMP 3000 4 sectors with MU-MIMO synchronized. That's kind of the ultimate. Everything is maxed out. You get lots of gain, lots of subscribers, lots of capacity. You can also go to the little brother of the 3000, which is the 3000L. Start with a 90-degree sector. That's a 2x2 access point. We also have recently introduced Omnis, a dual horn, which I'll mention, and then a MicroPOP. So I'll go through some of these in a little more detail. So the portfolio itself, from access points, we have the 3000, which we've talked about, the 3000L, which is a 2x2 MIMO solution. This is also based on 11AC Wave 2, but it does not do MU-MIMO, so keep that in mind as you do the trade-offs between the 3000L and the 3000. We still have a lot of customers deploying the 2000. That has the benefit of lots of subscriber count, has that dynamic filtering and uplink beam steering. So in customers that are deploying that continue to deploy it and are quite happy with it, and then they can maybe use the 3000 in more dense parts of the network. And then we just last quarter introduced the Omni MicroPOP. So our channel partners have this in stock now. And this is really meant for short distance, smaller density environments. Maybe I want to light up a small housing development that I can't quite reach with the main tower. So I can put in an Omni MicroPOP for covering perhaps a half a mile to a mile type of range. And then each of these access points have a number of different topologies that can be deployed. On the left, you see the 3000L that has a sector antenna option for 90 degrees. In the lower middle, there are a number of different Omni devices available from our channel partners. And then on the lower right is you see a twist port adapter from radio wave from RF Elements that does horn antennas. So that's a nice solution, very easy to integrate with the 3000L and then connect onto a horn antenna. And then on the right, you see the 3000, similar options. There's a 4x4 sector antenna. And then in the middle, you see a 4x4 Omni antenna that was specifically designed to support MU-MIMO, and that is from a supplier called KP Performance. And then in the lower right, you'll see a dual horn MU-MIMO antenna. And that's a product that we just introduced. It's just arriving in the channel later this month. We're pretty excited about this one because it's unique in the industry in the ability to do MU-MIMO in a horn antenna pattern. I think I have a slide on this as well. Oh yeah, in fact, here it is. So it's a little better picture of it. Horn antennas are nice because they give you a narrower beam. This one is a 60 degree. And it also has the benefit with a horn of having reduced front to back ratio and reduced side lobes. So you're really pushing all of the energy forward and into a tighter pattern. So it's really helpful in an interference environment, or if I'm just trying to light up in one particular area. And you can align these into a ring as well if you want to do additional capacity. So nice product, really integrates well with the 3000. And as I mentioned, it's going to be available from our channel partners late this month or early July. They've actually been shipping from the factory over the last few weeks. One of our ecosystem partners is KP Performance. They created a 4x4 MU-MIMO, and we did some software work in the EPMP 3000 to specifically support this antenna. So it was kind of a cooperative development, and it's really shown some nice results in the field. This gives you the true MU-MIMO performance in an Omni pattern. So again, maybe I have a low density area and I can put in an Omni that will hit more areas. And this got a decent gain on it because it's actually internally, it's built as two 180 degree antennas that are overlapped. So you get a little better gain than what you might with a true Omni. You get a full 13 dBi of gain. So it's a nice solution. We talked about customers increasing their service plans with EPMP. Wanted to highlight this customer. This is a WISP here in Illinois, just near our headquarters outside of Chicago. They are offering 150 megabit per second service plans, and they're doing that by sort of side by side introducing horn pattern antennas. In this case, you see a combination of EPMP 3000L, EPMP 2000, overlaying in those three different sort of call them narrow sectors. And by doing that, they're able to push lots of capacity into that smaller area that's covering that rural community. So again, when you hear about customers looking for lots of capacity, that certainly is achievable with EPMP. I mentioned MicroPOP before. This is also available now. A couple things to point out on this. It is really meant for those short range. I kind of think in terms of half a mile or so, and really meant to maybe a small housing development or even feed some outdoor Wi-Fi hotspots. That kind of thing is a good application for the MicroPOP. It's important to point out it does not have synchronization. So when you would not synchronize this with the tower. Whereas if you used the 3000L or the 3000 with the Omni, you could do synchronization. So again, this is a really low cost way to bring coverage into an area that you might need to light up in a short term or in a quick response. Our Force 300 subscriber module portfolio, we have, you can see here, 6 different options. Everything from, and really what changes for the most part is the gain or the distance. So when you look at the Force 325 is our high gain, longest range. Probably in North America here, this is probably the most popular because as you get into rural areas, that link budget and fade margin is important. As you get to more suburban environments, the Force 316 becomes a nice solution. And then in the lower right, you'll see the 13. That's really meant for more, urban, suburban environments where I don't look to go very far, but I like the nice small form factor. In the lower left, you see the Force 319. This is a flat panel antenna. Some operators and some customers prefer the aesthetics of a flat panel antenna. And then you'll notice there's a 19R variant of that, which is IP67, adds 10 megahertz channels, and is a nice solution for maybe some business services that are looking for a little bit higher end radio performance and radio aesthetics. And then in the upper right, you can see the connectorized SM, which you can mate up with a horn or an external dish and go as to whatever link budget or gain in the antenna that you're looking to achieve. So that's kind of the hardware portfolio. I wanted to spend the last few minutes here talking about the latest software. So this may be more interesting to those of you that are already deploying EPMP, but it is important to note that the features keep coming with EPMP and the extension as we get feedback from customers on what's the best way to to again increase capacity, increase efficiency, and the number of different applications that EPMP can be used for. So we typically do a major software release about every 6 months. Version 4.5 is the first major release of 2020. It was released about a month ago, I guess. And the last release was 4.4.3 back in December of last year. That was a dot release. The major release was all the way back in August of last year. So you can see here is kind of a bullet point list. I'm going to go through and highlight some of the features that are specifically useful to our wireless service providers in North America. So I'll kind of highlight some of these specifically here as we go. The dual horn, the Omni, and the MicroPOP support, those are all officially supported in 4.5. So those hardware options I mentioned are available in 4.5 and officially supported. So as you do the drop-down menus on what kind of antenna I've selected, you get that the view of an Omni or the dual horn. We introduced something called automatic channel selection. This is, there's really 2 ways to deploy an access point. You can either have a frequency plan, which is important if you're doing like a sector or multiple sectors and you're going to do an AB 2-channel reuse plan with CD 2 channels down the road. So I end up with this overall sort of interlocking frequency plan to reduce self-interference. That's kind of the traditional approach. We have other customers that say, I'm trying to put this up for maybe a temporary deployment, or it's an isolated area, low density area. In that case, we've introduced automatic channel selection. In this case, you can see the menu option there. When the radio powers up, it scans the entire spectrum and selects the best channel based on the noise floor. So just a convenience option. Some customers will go the frequency plan approach, and some will go with the ACS approach or automatic channel selection. EPTP mode is what was really successful with the previous generation EPP 1000 and the Force 180s, Force 200s. And this is really for point-to-point applications using EPMP. And it works with Force 300 subscriber modules. So you basically point Force 325 at another Force 325, and you get a nice point-to-point link. By turning on EPTP mode, it kind of strips out some of the overhead and brings the latency down to perhaps a couple of milliseconds. So if you have a latency sensitive backhaul application that you don't need synchronization, you're less concerned about QoS, this is a way to get the sort of the ultimate performance out of that Force 300 SM in a point-to-point environment. Again, that's point-to-point only. We introduced reliable multicast. Some WISPs or carriers deploy multicast services like video streaming. This adds support for IGMP capable devices. Again, it's kind of a niche, but if you need it, it's nice to have. You can support up to 5 multicast groups. And when you define that multicast group, the AP will send that multicast traffic only to that subset or of SMs in that group. So again, it's a niche, but if you need it, it's now available. Again, not so important, I don't know, but I'll throw it out there anyway, is we do offer now local language administration web pages. So the first release of this, we introduced the Turkish language and the Spanish language, and of course the English language. So you can go into the local web management GUI and you can select the language of choice. So this can help with, as you have different technicians working on the product, have different native languages, you can support that. And we see that this will expand over time. So clearly important in our, with customers around the world, we're looking at adding languages like Polish, Russian, others as they come up in priority. But it's a nice feature, again, if you need it. So that's in a nutshell version 4.5. And then I just want to also highlight, we are running a promotion right now for customers that have not experienced EPMP yet. And so if you're new to EPMP, meaning you haven't deployed it yet, we're offering this starter bundle, which includes radios as well as some offerings from our ecosystem partners, Visp.net and RF Elements. And the price point on this bundle is quite attractive. Even if you're looking, even it's like, let me just go out on a limb and say that you might be currently a Ubiquiti customer and you're looking to expand into a new area. The pricing on this bundle gives you a very competitive offering to try out EPMP. So I'd really encourage you to take a look at this. Again, you can get, for that price that you see on there, you get either the 3000 or the 3000L. You get 12 subscriber modules, Force 325s, which was the one with the dish. You get a connectorized subscriber module, which you can then use and mate up with one of the RF Elements horn antennas. And then we're also offering some software options. You get a CN Heat trial, which I don't have a slide in here on the deck today, but CN Heat is really an amazing tool that lets you have really fine resolution view of what kind of coverage area I'm going to get from a particular tower. So I can directly target customers from a marketing standpoint. I can also have a much higher success rate on installations. As I go out to the field, I'll know exactly where to install that that SM to get the best performance. So you get a free trial of CN Heat. You get an RF Elements twist port adapter. You get 6 months of Visp.net billing and automation services. So if you're maybe interested in going a off-the-shelf billing solution, we work with Visp.net, one of our partners, and they can get you going for 6 months on that. And then we also offer 2 hours of one-on-one consulting with one of our senior network engineers. So we've had quite a few take advantage of this already. They get on the phone and kind of talk through how they're going to deploy EPMP, what are some of the pitfalls, what to avoid, and how to be most successful. So really encourage you to take a look at this if you have not used EPMP before. go to this URL at the lower right, search for new customer promo, or just go straight to this URL. We've had, I would say, upwards of 60 to 70 WISPs that were currently not using EPMP come on board and use this, and they're seeing great results with EPMP. So this has been a really nice way to get people introduced to the product and to Cambium's support overall. So, Julie, I covered all the material. I don't know if there's any questions on the line, but now would be a great time if you have a question to put it in the chat window. We'll take those questions. And then I know that Julia said she was recording this, and it will be available later to view if you want to go back and see some of the material that we covered.
Yes, thank you, Bruce, very much. We enjoyed your presentation, and we do have some questions. I have them up in front of me, so I'm going to go ahead and ask them to you one at a time. First question here, do the overlapping antennas interfere with one another?
Okay, so there may be two areas that this question is coming from. One is the Omni is the 4x4 Omni is kind of designed as two overlapping sectors, and that's part of the software integration that we did with EPMP, is that it does, or with the EPMP 3000, is that it does interoperate well with those two overlapping sectors within the Omni, and it treats them as kind of as, think of it the way the MU-MIMO treats two different sectors, and can steer those. It works that same way with the 4x4 Omni. The question may also have been related to that example I showed of the three horn antennas lined up left to right next to each other. And in that case, synchronization is your friend. And that was a solution where they will be synchronized, and with the tight patterns of a horn antenna, where you get lower front to back ratio, or sorry, higher front to back ratio, so lower interference front to back. And you also get lower side lobes, so you get less interference sort of left and right of the main bore site. So you can really pack those horn antenna patterns in tightly, and you don't get a lot of interference there.
Excellent. Thank you, Bruce, for answering that in such a broad fashion. Next question here for you. I believe we can go to your website. Will there be a list of courses available and offered there?
Yeah, that's a great question. We have a very extensive set of training materials available, and with people, I know here in Illinois, we're still sheltering at home for the most part. So it's a good time to brush up on some of the skills. If you go to learning.cambiumnetworks.com, you'll be able to create a login, and then there's a lot of content that's available there. I know that even some of the EPMP material has been updated recently, but there's a lot of great material there at learning.cambiumnetworks.com.
Excellent. Thank you for that. Next question here for you. Regarding the 3-year warranty, does it cover tech support and possible hardware failure?
Yes, that's right. So whether it's a subscriber module or an access point, you get 3 years of hardware support, meaning if the device fails for based on any kind of defect or something in the equipment, that is covered, as well as telephone support and email support.
Excellent. Thank you for that. Next question here for you. How many users can operate within the EPMP 4000? How many users?
So, well, with the EPMP 3000, it's the maximum theoretical is 112 subscribers per sector. So if you do a 4-sector tower, it'd be, we do the math here, 224, 448 customers in a tower. And we have customers that push right up against that. So it's a theoretical max, but it's also a practical instance or a way to deploy it. We have many customers deploying in the 60 to 80 subscriber module range. I think the question may have referenced 4000, which that product is not announced or introduced yet, but you can imagine that the next generation will be called the 4000 because we have had a 1000, 2000, and 3000.
Thank you very much for that. Next question here for you. For the subscriber that you are referring to, do you have a software or a feature where users will be able to log in for a duration or a period of time?
Not sure about that question. So I think what you're asking is whether there's a way to limit the amount of time a customer has access to the network. We don't do that with the subscriber module itself. There are some billing platforms that would do that. Like I believe the Visp.net would do something like that, where you would have maybe a trial subscription or if you're on a monthly billing cycle, there's different cutoff periods and that sort of thing. So we generally rely on the billing type platforms to do that kind of thing.
Thank you, Bruce. I appreciate that. If anyone wants to clarify further on that question, of course, we can follow up. Next question here for you. When you do refer to a subscriber, I just want to double check, is that the number of users that can connect?
Correct. So, yeah, so if you think of the EPMP platform as a hub and spoke type architecture where the access point is at the hub, and then you have radiating out from that a number of endpoints or customers. We call those subscriber modules. So that's where you could have up to 112 of those SMs off of any given access point. And then what you connect behind that SM is really up to you. So you could have, for example, that's a layer 2 pipe out to that subscriber module. So behind that, you could put certainly a Ethernet switch. We have a whole series of indoor routers as well, Wi-Fi routers. You could put multiple devices behind that. So when we talk about subscribers, that's the actual piece of hardware that radio that communicates back to the access point. The number of users on that network could certainly be significantly higher. So I think that answers the question.
Thank you very much. Oh, yes. Thank you very much for that, Bruce. Last question here for you. Regarding manufacturing, can you tell us where your products are manufactured, and is everything going pretty well with your supply chain and shipping and all of that?
Yeah, so I'll take it in two parts. Most of EPMP is manufactured in China. Although Cambium has products that are manufactured in multiple regions, multiple countries, but EPMP is mostly in China. We are not experiencing any issues other than we do see a strong demand from EPMP. So I know that many of our channel partners are selling the product as soon as they get it in. So there is a lot of demand. That is not any issue related to any of the pandemic or anything related to that. All the factories, all the distribution centers are all running at full speed.
Excellent. That is so good to know. Thank you, Bruce, for answering all of those questions for us today. And also, thank you to everyone for attending today's webinar. And if anyone has any further questions, please feel free to contact your sales rep or email us at sales@microcomtech.com. And if anyone wishes to view any of the products mentioned or shown today, please visit us at www.microcom.us. And also, please remember this webinar presentation has been recorded and will be uploaded to our Microcom YouTube channel so you can view it again. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate your time today. And thank you, Bruce. Appreciate all your updated information on EPMP. Have a good day, everybody.